What's going on, everybody? It's your boy GemMint, and this is the new comic book day review. And as always, I'm going to give you my thoughts on these as spoiler-free as I can. Although it's after Wednesday, still spoiler-free. And we're going to give you what I thought was the worst book, the weakest book. I'm going to give you my pick of the week, and I'm going to go over 2 books that don't come out until next week. So a little bit of a look into the future. Before we jump into it, just a quick update on the Incredible Hulk 181 giveaway. I shipped the book off to Courtyard. They have it in their possession. I'm waiting for them to upload it and add it to my profile so then we can draw a winner for the giveaway. We'll do it live. I think we've been discussing going live again on Sundays, so guys, look forward to that if you dig the live streams. And with that being said, let's jump into this week's comics. And I only read 1 book digitally. Unfortunately, I do think it was the weakest book out of all the books that I read. So it is an Imperial tie-in. It is the Exiles issue number 1 by Steve Fox, Jonathan Hickman, Francisco Mana, and Eric Arciniega. Now, I got to be honest here. This might just be because of a little bit of bias that I have against Cosmic X-Men. I just don't like the Cosmic X-Men world. The whole Shi'ar, I don't give a damn about any of those characters. Lilandra, her and Professor X, her daughter, basically getting her power usurped and having to flee her country or her planet or whatever you want to call it. Wasn't digging it. I thought it was super boring, bland, and just not a fan of that whole sector of the X-Men. With that being said, we'll jump into Spider-Man 94, issue number 1. Man, as a kid, Spider-Man the Animated Series was my favorite out of the big 3. Most people will say BTAS. The other half of the people will say X-Men, but I always loved the Spider-Man Animated Series. Now, the thing with that is, I tried to rewatch it recently with my daughter, and it just didn't really hold up, man. Maybe it was just as a kid and the character designs, but rewatching it, I didn't love it. And unfortunately, I don't think this comic really did it for me either. Now, they do have legendary writer J.M.D. Mateus back on here. The art is by Jim Tao, and I just don't feel like they really captured the Spider-Man animated series the way that the X-Men 97 comics captured the X-Men animated series. But similar to that series, it's cool to see them do characters in this universe that weren't a part of the animated series. They hadn't been created yet. So Ezekiel, Moreland, going through that whole spider totem thing. And they're doing things in this comic book that are different than what the characters were like or what their origins were or what role they played in the original comics, just like they did it with the animated series. I think even at the end here, they kind of referenced the fact that they introduced Hobgoblin before Green Goblin in the cartoon. And the comic book is similar. So we're getting a familiar universe, picking up where the animated series left off with the whole thing with Mary Jane and Hydro Man and all that stuff. So I was a little bit let down. It might be because I had too high expectations. But honestly, if I'm thinking out loud, they just didn't nail it as much as the X-Men 97 comic did. But they got me, man. I'm not a variant collector or anything, but I picked up the action figure variant, the Symbiote Spider-Man. I do plan on continuing to pick this up and reading it, and I'm going to be grabbing these action figure variants. So they still got me. Let's bounce around a little bit here. So Batman has a new number 1. This is the Matt Fraction run. He's joined by Jorge Jimenez and Tomu Mori. This was a great issue, you guys. So it picks up in familiar territory. Batman, he's not in Wayne Manor. He's actually operating out of Pennyworth Manor, and this still has the same continuity. Alfred is dead. But in this universe, Alfred is kind of like a hologram assistant, an AI, if you will, traveling with Bruce, telling a great story about Killer Croc and Killer Croc kind of regressing mentally that to the mind of a child. So they did great stuff like that. They did a great job of showing Batman's gadgets, accessories, and what he's working with in this arsenal. Here, I'll show you guys some art here. I mean, it's Jorge Jimenez, so he's one of DC's best. But it was a really great number 1. I love the costume design for Batman. I like where it ends, and I'm looking forward to the future of this series, man. Batman 1 was super dope. Let's go to Absolute Superman issue 11. What a crazy issue. This is by Jason Aaron, and he is joined by Carmine Di Giamenencio, Ulysses Areola, and Becky Carey. So, wow, man, crazy issue here. Superman has been captured by Ra's al Ghul and the Lazarus Corporation, and he's using the sadistic Brainiac to probe Superman's mind, basically trying to make him break bad in his mind which will complete the whole full circle transformation, making Superman evil, this, that, and the third. It was amazing. It was really tense, man. Seeing what's going on in Superman's mind. He's basically being tortured day in and day out, but it also does a good job of showing you like Superman's humanity, for lack of a better word. Some great artwork in here. The situations they put him in and how he handles it inside of this matrix, for lack of a better word. It was just really dope, man. Great issue. Big things happen at the end. Of course, we're going to try to keep it spoiler-free. Let's keep it Superman. So we have another ongoing series by Philip Kennedy Johnson, no less. The Adventures of Superman, the Book of El. In the far future, a legend is born. So, funny enough, let me get the artist on here, though. So it's Philip Kennedy Johnson along with... Geez, they had it in the front, they got it in the back. Where are we putting the credits, you guys? Scott Godlewski. So it's funny enough, man. I just did a video with an omnibus haul that was all DC books, and we have the Superman by Philip Kennedy Johnson, Volume 1. The whole War World saga starts in that omnibus, and I was talking about how when I started reading that in singles, I had just come off of reading the original War World stuff. And War World is hard to say like 10 times fast. War World, War World, War World. Anyway, we're back to War World. But what's funny here, not what's funny, but the situation, it's a good jumping on point. We're on Earth. You have Clark Kent with Lois Lane, their son Jonathan Kent. They've adopted these two superpowered beings from War World. Ma Kent's there, Pa Kent's there, but boom, War World comes, and basically Superman gets knocked into next week. So Superman gets taken off the table. He gets thrown somewhere else, which is kind of similar that happens in another book that we'll talk about. But what happens to the world without Superman when War World invades? So we're reading these journals at the end of the issue, just seeing what's transpired, you know, on day 12, on day 30, on day whatever, without Superman, and we see where Superman goes. So how's he going to get back? What's going to happen? We're going to have to read to follow along. Then we have Absolute Green Lantern issue 6 by Jeff Lemire and Janoy Lindsay. This might have been the best issue of Absolute Green Lantern so far. We learn about this version of Oa. We learn about what's going on with the big Green Lantern that dropped down in Central City. We learn about the emotional spectrum of color in this world, because this is the absolute universe. Things are different. Anything can happen. And Jeff Lemire goes Jeff Lemire with it. He goes really out there with it, but I thought it was great storytelling, really progressing this story forward with cool concepts that are familiar but new. So, dope issue, man. It was actually kind of hard to come up with a pick of the week, because really, I mean, this was a great jumping on point in familiar territory. Absolute Superman was great. Batman 1 was great. But I'm giving my pick of the week. I really can't believe it.
If you guys missed out on any of those San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, look no further than That Spider-Man booth on Whatnot. They've got the Invincible Universe Battle Beast exclusive by Ryan Otley, the Marvel Swimsuit Special by Rose Besh, and they even got that rare Jim Lee Hush 2 black and white cover. Make sure to bookmark That Spider-Man booth's upcoming shows and give them a follow.
Amazing Spider-Man is getting pick of the week. Issue 11, which is Legacy 975. So it's an oversized issue. It's like $8. It's 2 main stories, and then there's like 2 or 3 small little backup stories. So the cover says, "Who are the 2 Spider-Men?" Well, if you've been keeping up with the ASM, you know that Hellgate beat Spider-Man's ass like Thanos beat Hulk in Infinity War, and Spider-Man don't want to be Spider-Man no more. But there is a Spider-Man running around. And then you kind of think you're figuring out who is under the red and blue. He's writing in a journal. He's very cold. Like I mentioned in the last review, he's breaking bones just for petty crimes. You're thinking like, are they making this dude Spider-Man? I want to be vague. I don't want to spoil any of it. But what's crazy about this issue is we know Spider-Man ain't Spider-Man, but we find out Peter Parker's not Peter Parker. So we get the return of a character that we know and love. And that was just all in the first issue. That's essentially what you get with this side. But this, who is this kind of Spider-Man with this techno kind of suit? What is it called again? The flexi suit. He's wearing a flexi suit. So that is the secondary story. So first of all, let me jump back. Joe Kelly's the writer of both main stories, but John Romita Jr. is doing the art on that first story. And then you have the great Pepe Larraz on the second story. We find out where Peter Parker is. What happened to Peter Parker during his fight with Hellgate, where he says, "You got to get stronger." Bong! Sees nothing but black. It's almost like the Book of Kal-El. It gets knocked into next week, basically. So we see what happens with Peter. he's got to get stronger, like straight Goku style, and that's where we come up with the flexi suit and this alien that's taking him in. That's right. He got knocked pretty far, and he's basically training to get stronger so he could come back and fight Hellgate. Yo, that was crazy. Yeah, we could show this. You know, this is all without context, but the flexi suit acts like an electronic symbiote in a sense. So pretty cool stuff there. Then there's another backup story by Saladin Ahmad with Perry Perez, introducing a brand new character, kind of a speedster / slow down time guy. So first appearance here, if you're into that kind of thing. I don't really think the character is going to have much legs. Then you have another one by Lee Gatlin, which is like channeling their inner Steve Ditko for a little Spider-Man backup story with the Thing. And then there's a quick one, a 2-page story by Mallory Gibbs, just showing how Spider-Man swings around town, traverses through the city while he's taking down the Hobgoblin. So that is my pick of the week. I don't know when, if ever, Amazing Spider-Man got pick of the week. It might have back in the day during the Sins whatever storyline. But that ain't it. The video ain't over. I picked up TMNT issue 11 by Jason Aaron, but I can't read it yet. I've only read up to issue 6. I'm waiting for the next hardcover to catch me up, and then I'll be able to continue with this. And I have 2 books that don't come out until next week or the week after. So we have Blood and Thunder issue number 5. This is by Serrano Sue, Sasek, and Robert Kirkman. I hate to say it, man. I just can't get into this Blood and Thunder book, man. So, like I talked about when I reviewed issue 4, they kind of just throw you onto this other planet, and there's like this monster terrorizing the town, trying to steal books from the library or something like that. This is following that. Finally, Blood with her gun Thunder are assigned to this planet to figure out the mystery, and I don't know. I'm just not into it, man. Not into this one. I guess we'll show you a little bit of artwork here. This is kind of a dark page. I don't know. Let me know. Is anybody else keeping up with this? What do you guys think about Blood and Thunder? But the last book got an early look at Transformers issue 24, the last issue by Daniel Warren Johnson. He's joined by Jorge Corona and Mike Spicer. Amazing issue. Ending the arc in such a G1 Transformers way. The final battle between Megatron and Optimus Prime. Big stakes. You know, Daniel Warren Johnson means business on this book. He's already killed off characters in the first few issues. He does his patented wrestling moves in here like he's always done, including Optimus running at Megatron and turning into the truck and slamming him in his chest. Yo, action-packed, kinetic, crazy stuff going on in the last issue of this arc. And then Kirkman and Dan Mora are going to take over with issue 25, so I'm super looking forward to that. But that is going to be it for this week's New Comic Book Day. I don't know why I'm grabbing them all to show you again, but whatever. What did you guys read this week? What did you think about these? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, as always, and stay minty fresh. Peace.